Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports, the working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
It is midday in the Queen City. Business is booming. We are making executive decisions today. Let's do lunch. Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch. Hello there. Welcome to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you updates on what companies throughout the region are doing. We bring you exclusive interviews with local leaders and CEOs, and we try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back to face the afternoon. Feels like it's been a long week. It's hot out there. Let's wrap things up strong on a Friday. Cincinnati business headlines, kicking things off with a new restaurant alert. Chef Brad Bernstein, seen there, is known as the founder of the former Red Feather in Oakley, but now he's starting a new spot in the old P&G headquarters downtown at 6th and Main. That's now the Fidelity Hotel. It is a new American-style restaurant called Gwyn. We've got a look inside from the Gwyn website on the Fidelity Hotel's page. The menu featuring ingredients from the Ohio River Valley. Dishes like fried green tomato, pomme dauphin, ricotta-stuffed squash ratatouille, a duck dish, filet with broccolini, a lot more. It's a cool looking menu, really cool looking space. Gwyn opening before the end of the month. Going to do breakfast, lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. That's a nice place, and now we are going to shift to something completely different. We've got a picture that's from the social media of a discount liquidator in Ohio that's called Crazy Bins. Crazy Bins today is opening its first Cincinnati location. That is on Ridge Avenue, right near the Lowe's in Columbia Township. Crazy Bins bills itself as offering name brand products at 50 to 90% off retail, saying that it's the largest big box retail liquidation overstock outlet store in the state. Crazy Bins, as you might imagine, also features these bins that I guess need to talk to someone. The bins restock on Fridays. Here's the pricing schedule, and then the price slowly drops as the days go on. The grand opening of Crazy Bins is going on right now until 7 p.m. I certainly hope they find the help they need. And the constant challenges of the grocery business. We have a new report from the Business Courier saying that Kroger saw a drop in foot traffic last month, continuing a 3-month trend. That is according to analysis by investment firm Jefferies. Kroger foot traffic fell 0.04% in June, 0.04% in June. That was actually better than what other grocery companies saw in that month. That slight dip is largely being blamed on inflation, but it figures into a larger industry-wide trend that CNBC reported on just this week.
Americans are buying less groceries. Grocery product purchases were flat in 2025, then declined about 2% year over year in most months since February of 2026. That's according to a report by Nielsen IQ and Bain & Company that was shared exclusively with CNBC. This is surprising because rarely does the grocery market see full decline across the entire sector. Consumers are facing higher grocery prices and SNAP benefit changes, as well as other inflationary pressures, which is impacting the grocery industry. Years of elevated grocery prices are forcing retailers like Walmart and Kroger to spend more, keeping prices low, even as shoppers buy fewer items. Now, that combination is making it harder to turn a greater profit.
So that big grocery stock-up trip that cost you $300 in 2019, now costing you $400. Even that upper income consumer, you're talking a big enough absolute dollar change that people start to feel a little bit of that sticker shock and start to shop around more.
28% of consumers say they are actively trying to reduce how much they spend on groceries. Among those shoppers, more than half are trading down to lower price brands, including private label, and more than 40% are leaning on coupons and discounts. And as more people adopt GLP-1s, they're on average buying less groceries.
Now, that bit at the end about GLP-1 weight loss drugs I thought was really interesting. It was just a quick mention, but I was curious, is the popularity of that stuff really having an effect on capital G groceries? CNBC reporting from earlier this year said 1 out of every 8 U.S. adults is on a GLP-1 medication, and that was only expected to grow from there. The main effect, though, is on snacking. Foods high in salt and sugar have been seeing a drop in demand because of drugs like Ozempic. There's also been reporting about higher demand for things like yogurt and fresh fruit. Obviously, keeping an eye on all that. But thinking about Kroger, that all segues us into today's Big Bite. Kroger is one of several companies with headquarters here in Cincinnati, one of several Fortune 500 companies that are in this area. And that means executives who are here, if not also from here. Kroger has a massive presence, over 6 dozen stores in this region alone, some 20,000 employees locally. Kroger's CEO is relatively new. We've talked about him before. Greg Foran was the CEO of Walmart from 2015 to 2019, and he's been fighting a grocery war on multiple fronts. Take a look.
Hello everyone, I'm Greg Foran, Kroger's CEO, and I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts with you after each quarter. Since my first day with Kroger, I've been talking about 5 things, the 5 F's, that we need to do consistently for customers to choose to shop with us. The first is fresh. This is the single biggest reason customers choose where to shop for groceries. We are obsessed with making sure our products hit their peak of freshness in your homes. Next, fast. Customers are busy and don't have the time for friction. If you can't find an item, can't figure out a promotion, or are missing something from your pickup order, we run the risk of losing your trust. Next, affordable. We're on a mission to lower prices through a sustained, self-funded commitment to taking cost out of our operating model. This is our measured approach to bringing down prices. Then there's friendly. An associate who knows their department and makes a customer's shopping trip easier. That's our competitive advantage. And lastly, for you. We know more about our customers than almost any retailer in the world. You should feel like your shopping experience was curated just for you. When all 5 work together consistently, customers come back. We need to make it happen at every store. I am excited that together, our team is becoming America's best grocer. Thank you. And I can't wait for you to see the 5 F's come alive in your stores and e-com experience.
I wanted to show that whole thing. Greg Foran also recently announced a push for more price cutbacks as Kroger is going after Walmart and Costco. Shoppers knowing who the Kroger CEO is, getting messaging directly from them. I think that's a relatively new development culturally, that video of the CEO addressing customers. And to be clear, shareholders is part of Kroger marketing, not just running ads. And he's not the only executive in this area who uses name recognition to promote the company. I think that's the strength of having companies that developed here and grew here and are staying here. John Barrett is one of the most recognizable business leaders in the city.
Chris, here we are, Western Southern Open time once again.
You know what I love most about it is people get a chance to discover Cincinnati.
As an old city, we've got the tremendous arts. As a new city, we've got everything else that you'd want.
I love this place. We come down here almost every weekend. No matter what you want, it's right here. It's that community feel that I think really sets Cincinnati apart.
Please think about Cincinnati. We have it all.
And that's because of videos like that, where he promotes Cincinnati itself. He's a booster for this area. And again, that's part of the marketing for Western and Southern. It's marketing and it's PR. Other executives for companies here, you've got guys like Steve Spray, who's the CEO of Cincinnati Financial Corporation, a property and casualty insurer that's out of Fairfield, named by the Business Courier just last year as having some of the most bang for the buck in his pay versus how it saw 25% growth in the same year that he was put in that executive position, with a return on equity of nearly 18%. Having the company's stock generate a shareholder return of more than 42%, including dividends, the second best stock gain of any local public company in that fiscal year. There are, of course, women in executive positions here, too. You might remember this moment from just recently. Debbie Hayes of the consistently top-rated, hey, look at that, Christ Hospital Health Network was a guest here on The Working Lunch just last week, and she told us during that interview about the importance of women growing in leadership roles. Hit it.
It's not a weird question. Only 15% of the CEOs in healthcare are women.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And so it's our responsibility to make sure that that percentage continues to climb. So I taught at Xavier University for 10 years to try and help people develop. We are preceptors for many of the local universities to make sure that we are bringing people along in their careers to encourage them to be part of the healthcare ecosystem. And we have programs within the organization that try and help people understand what their career paths and their development is. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's still really, really important that we are developing the next generation. And then, like in our physician contingent, we have a thing called Women in Medicine. And so it's a very vibrant group of female physicians, because years ago, it was probably 80-20 men to women. Sure. Now it's 60-40 women to men.
Another woman recently announced as taking executive reins on companies here. Rhiannon Howeller is the first CEO period for Mad Tree Brewing. That's a local brewery that has grown here, doing somewhere around $20 million in revenue a year. It has a goal of $30 million by the year 2030. Mad Tree has seen rapid growth and expansion into areas like Blue Ash. It was named Cincinnati's fastest growing beer brand at about this time just last year. And there are other execs who walk the line between business and sports in the public eye. For the last 20 years, Carl Lindner III has been the co-chief executive officer of American Financial Group, another Fortune 500 company located here. In its recent 2026 performance, AFG posted first quarter net earnings per share of $2.29 and nearly $2 billion in overall revenue. Premium growth fueled by favorable rates in transportation and crop insurance. And of course, a good portion of that family fortune went into him also being CEO and majority owner of, if you recognize the colors there, FC Cincinnati, currently valued at some $800 million, the ninth most valuable franchise in Major League Soccer. FCC drives $82 million in revenue. On the more public side of sports ownership,
so what are you looking forward to most this year when it comes to the fans coming in and packing the stadium? What should they look forward to as well?
Well, continuity is such a huge thing, and you've got most of the same team together. Now with Tony's second year, they've all gotten Terry in his second year, they've all gotten to know him. He's gotten to know the players. Bringing Suarez back, he is just such a leader and just a presence in the clubhouse. These guys are hungry. And so you've got a comfortable clubhouse. These guys are hungry. They all showed up spring training early. They're ready. These fans are ready. These fans deserve a team that they can be proud of. And that's what Terry and Nick and all these guys have done. And we're going to get off to a great start. And I know it's going to be an exciting year.
Flashing back to Fox 19 on Reds opening day this year, Phil Castellini succeeded his father Bob just this year when Major League Baseball approved transfer of the team. But that plan had been in the works for years. And of course, this city is nothing without connections. Bob Castellini became the main owner and CEO of the Reds in 2006 when he bought the bulk of the club from Carl Lindner Jr. I say it a lot on this show that I just said is not an exhaustive list. In terms of CEOs who've also been on this program, Doug Olberding with Pigworks, Todd Kane of Fairfax Credit Union, Jennifer Loeb with Ronald McDonald House, Barbara Turner from BT Rise. We also have had Bobby Slattery of 50 West, Kelly Lancer, Brendan Cull, Dr. David O, Hannah Lowen. Thank you to all the local business executives who've come on the show so far. More to come. Coming up after the break, executives and leadership talk continues. Mike Sipple is a CEO himself. He runs a 50-plus-year-old executive search firm, Centennial, and he's also a Leadership Development Institute head, Talent Magnet Institute, connecting leaders with new places to lead and developing local leaders of the future. He's my guest next. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Take a look at some stocks of local interest. And stick around, more coming up.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the working lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day.
My name is James Rapine, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining the Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, a history of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. I am joined now by Mike Sipple, who is the, you wear a couple of different hats. Mike is the CEO of Centennial, which is an executive search firm. And then there's also Talent Magnet Institute, which is a way to train people in leadership skills and developing talent so they can be kept and retained in the positions that they're in. Yeah. Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Jack, thank you so much for having me.
I think it's interesting, the two different companies that you run in cooperation with or in tandem with at times with your dad, and the way that it's so focused on leadership in this city, in a city where, like we talked about just before, has so many different companies and leaders' heads in it.
That's right.
There's got to be no shortage of talent for you to have to work with on either side of the equation.
Yeah, and we have a great region. So it's an opportunity for us to also help organizations in this region bring new leaders to the region, help organizations grow in the region, that gives them the ability to then go attract more people to the region as well as retain them from here as well.
Yeah, it's a machine that sort of feeds itself,
That's
right?
correct.
When it's operated correctly.
When things are operating right. Yes.
And that's sort of where you guys come in as far as the role that you play. Centennial finds talent and matches things up, whereas Talent Magnet TMI continues to develop and creates, further develops leaders.
That's correct. So we kind of say we focus on the leadership of an organization. We help you attract, recruit, and onboard leaders, and then we help you develop said leaders and then help your teams be even more effective working together, which is a real key part of what Talent Magnet Institute does and why it was started. So the search firm, our executive search firm, we just crossed over to our 51st year.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And our executive search firm 9-10 years ago, our board at the time really challenged my dad and I and our leadership team to think about, you build leadership teams, and those leadership teams call you to get advice on how to invest in their team and how to help their teams be more optimal. And 8 years ago, we launched Talent Magnet Institute. TMI, you can never have too much information on leadership, and that's what we've been doing since that launch.
Yeah, the Centennial, congratulations on the 51st year. Yeah. That's the idea of running a business that's been around for that many decades. Is that invigorating? Is that daunting? How does that feel for you?
On some days, it can be all the above,
a little bit of both.
Even on the same day. So, yeah, it's been a great opportunity. My wife and I took over from my parents 8 years ago, and the last 4 or 5 years ago, it's like they're able to do the great things that they enjoy in their life, and we're able to lead a team with an incredible leadership team that we have in our organization now, and have our own advisors and colleagues around us. To take a family business to a next generation is very, very difficult. This current summer that we're in, we have the 4th generation interning with us. So my oldest son, who's getting ready to head off to the University of Kentucky, is interning with us. So that's also like, let's not forget the special moments, right? Right now, the 4th generation is in the room. So
yeah, and when you're mixing family with business like that, is it tough to remember the personal family elements, and get so bogged down in the work?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the most difficult part about family business. So our family business has had the pleasure for the last 5 decades supporting other family businesses. Yeah. When I went through back in, I think it was 2004, 2005 was when my dad and I had the first discussion about, do you think you would want this to be your ongoing career path? Yeah. And that's when we had the opportunity to go through a organization called the Gehring Center, which is a part of the University of Cincinnati, to really learn and grow about what does a family business mean. With that being said, we've supported family business, so like we're the experts for everyone else. We need to take our own medicine.
There's an interesting, like, sort of meta thing to this whole discussion 100%. In that, when you had this conversation with your dad 20 years ago, that was essentially the start of succession planning and helping other companies, which is what you guys do too. That's right. You're cooking for yourself.
That's right. Yeah, and we took our own medicine, meaning that we went and got experts to come into the room with us. Yeah. Right. So we weren't on that journey by ourselves, and we were able to not just respect the fact that we're going to have at some point a generational change, but generations bring new approaches, new styles, new visions, new ideas. And in order to do that well, you also have to give the next generation the opportunity to build his or her team. So that's what we've done, is we've put in our own board, our own advisors, our own team to help us grow, which is also a part of when we launched Talent Magnet Institute. If my dad were sitting here, he would say, I've dreamed of this for 48 years. And this generation, put it into working order. He helped me find the vision for it and see the impact of all of these teams we support. They need more than just hiring great people. Right. They need to invest in themselves and the teams that they've now put in place. And then that's when we said, you know what? Let's do it. This generation is going to bring that to life.
Yeah, growing and retaining that talent, because being able to develop someone who's already sort of on the inside is just, economically, it makes more sense 100%. Than going out and bringing in somebody new and starting from scratch.
Yeah, and so few are reactive. They delay decisioning, which is what causes a lot of times the need to go to the outside, is we haven't brought up the talent inside. The other thing is we we have a unique place around supporting C-suite leaders and being that safe place. So we have masterminds and roundtable programs that we offer. We get C-suite leaders together in safe conversations so they can ask questions that you really can't ask your peers because you're supposed to have all the answers, is one of our arguments. And we've always found that as a key part of our impact to the real leadership fabric of this great community, of being there for those leaders when they have no one else to call.
Yeah, I think you had an interesting post on your LinkedIn just recently about the idea of someone in a leadership position and how part of their job is to help develop their people, but where do they go for their own self-improvement? And that's something that TMI also offers?
That's something we're deeply passionate about. So it's kind of our fabric and framework. I say jokingly that TMI was founded as an asterisk in our strategic plan. And we had this asterisk that was on our strategic plan that said add more value to a client. And as clients would ask us things outside of search, we would start keeping track of, well, they've asked us to help introduce them to a few additional CEOs in the community. They've asked us to introduce their C-suite team to the right area to get learning and development. They've asked us to help them bring in a couple of executive coaches to work with their team. Those are all now services that we now provide because of some key clients during our succession who was like, it'd be a whole lot easier if you just did this for us. So I say innovation can come from many places. The best place innovation comes from is from your customers.
Yeah, sure.
And we heard that in some of the previous segments you just led, that brands listening to customers is critical. And that's kind of what we've done and what we hope to continue to do.
Yeah, it's got to be a weird balance between, wanting to innovate and come up with new ideas and then also reacting to what your people are telling you. It's got to be difficult to walk that line sometimes.
That's right. I will say we have invested in, even with TMI, we've launched products that nobody wanted, because we thought it was a great idea and didn't spend as much time with the customer to identify, is this really what you need? You may create ideas that you innovate, that you believe is what they ask for, until you bring it to them and they go, well, actually I was looking for this. So we don't want digital learning platforms, which is what we had 6 years ago with TMI. We want you to bring us in person with other humans.
Yeah.
And like just today, while you and I are talking, there's a group of leaders in our offices meeting as a mastermind together as C-suite leaders who are spending time and investing in one another, building friendships, learning what each other are doing inside their respective businesses. And that gives them a lot of value. One of our members consistently says this is the best executive coaching I've had in 35 years of my career.
Wow, no kidding. That's huge praise.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. And from what I've seen, some comments that you've made in public statements, really leaning into the human aspect of that. Lord knows we talk about AI a lot, and that's a whole different animal, but embracing the human element of things, which I wanted to ask you, I think I know the answer to this, but the idea that also includes the flaws that we have as people, that figures into the whole recipe.
Sure. Yeah, we are a whole person. So any organization, there's a lot of organizations who say bring your whole self, and then when people show up, they're like, oh,
maybe not that.
Don't bring those aspects. Yeah, right. But we are the same. We are the same person. We are at work. We need to be at home. We need to be able to bring things we learn in the boardroom and in executive meetings and in executive coaching into our houses and into our friendships and into our community work, right? We need to get more involved. And I know my wife and I use this example often. For years, I spent time going to leadership development conferences. And I would either go, I get flown there by a client, or I go with a couple of colleagues. You go there, you get all excited. You come back, you realize that the other 12 people around you didn't experience anything they just experienced, which is why part of what TMI does is we work with teams, because we want those teams to learn and grow together. But I did that for my professional career for the first decade of my career and realized, why aren't I spending this much time with, arguably the number 2 most important relationship in my life, which is my wife. My first one's, my savior. And wow, we should really do that. We should go spend time. So we started doing marriage leadership retreats.
Oh, wow.
So as we work with our leaders, we encourage them to do that. There's a group of 2 clients and one of my employees today who just flew out to do a women's retreat in Brazil last night. We do retreats. I go to retreats in Wyoming and Montana once a year. My wife and I are leading a couples retreat in Wyoming in February. And that's all attached to the ecosystem of what we do as a brand. We want to be there to support leaders. We want a leader to say, Mike, I know you go on these retreats. I've never gone on a retreat like that.
Yeah.
I was recently in a conversation like this one with a retired executive from Fifth Third Bank, and she had an epiphany at a retreat in North Carolina, and we talked all about that epiphany she had that led her to retire and go develop her own organization and also launch a nonprofit. Like, lots can come from giving you space to think. And,
I mean, that's the idea of like those shower moments, right? Where you're not stuck in an office that you've been in for 12 hours staring at the same blank screen, like having that moment when you're in the shower and all of a sudden something hits you.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback even to CEOs and C-suite executives. You have to give yourself space because the best ideas and best innovation, I argue, are going to come from your team, not from you, and are going to come from you giving yourself space.
Yeah.
That's where innovation comes from.
Trying to find the balance on things. We've got a lot we still need to get into, but we've got to balance things with a break, and we're going to take that right now. More with Mike Sipple of Centennial and Talent Magnet Institute coming up on The Working Lunch. Stick around. You're watching The Crown.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
My name is Jacob Tissett, and I'm a co-host of First Word from 7 to 11 every morning right here on the Crown Network, where we will break down the biggest stories in Cincinnati sports. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, where I spent 4 seasons working for the football team as a student assistant, contributing to the 2020 National Championship and 3 SEC championships. I'm a Cincinnati native, a St. Xavier High School graduate, and will bring a local perspective and passion to covering the Bengals, Reds, and everything in between. I'm excited to have you join us on First Word.
Hey, I'm Marissa Contapelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
he came to me again, closed the door and said, I need some help. We have a cash flow problem. And he said, we need $10,000 to get us through. And so he said, if you have any ideas, let me know. That night I went home and went over to visit my dad and said, Dad, I just need to run something by you, not for the purpose of getting money, but just give me some advice. After he listened to what I needed, he didn't say anything. He just walked out of the room, came back with a check for $10,000. I thanked him, took it in the next day, gave it to Mr. Morris. 30 days later, he wrote the check with interest back to my dad, and he never forgot that. I think that solidified our relationship there. It was through my dad, but he appreciated that very much.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm with Mike Sipple, and that is a clip from the podcast that you do, Unconventional Leadership. And that was a clip specifically from, I believe, the 250th episode where it was you and your dad.
Yeah.
And, we were talking in the last segment about separating out and dealing with personal issues when it comes to family businesses. That looked like it was a tremendously emotional moment on the show.
It was. That was a tremendously emotional episode, and quite the honor, to be honest. And I released it on my father's birthday, which was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
How timing lined up. But yeah, and I learn things every time I have a history lesson of the history of the business that I run, which is one of the joys of family business. There's always things to learn about special moments in the timeline and the history of what actually makes organizations happen. So that's what I shared. A lot of people know that I'm a third generation in Centennial, but we actually are second generation family because my dad was the first employee of another husband and wife who did not have children.
Yeah.
And that clip right there shares, that was within the first month of his employment with them.
Wow.
When this happened. So
when you're doing a show, doing a podcast, that's a whole other element to what you're already doing with the leadership placement with Centennial and Talent Magnet Institute, the development for folks. Now you're doing a show on top of that. Yeah. I know how much work goes into doing a podcast, and I'm sure maybe you've got a bit of a team with you on that.
Yes, we
but
do.
That's a whole other level of work to do.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned, I mentioned earlier around my board that encouraged us to go develop this leadership development organization, one of my board members, Dr. Janet Reed, challenged me to either write a book or you need to try this podcast thing.
Okay.
Why? Because as I referenced you, we try to create safe space for leaders. So a great safe space for leaders to listen and learn and grow is a podcast or a book. So that's why we launched the podcast. So I remember Janet saying, all of those powerful conversations that you and your family and your team have the opportunity of sitting in a room, in a boardroom with someone in a private office, at a restaurant, in a private conversation.
Yeah.
Through a podcast, you can bring those stories to life and have thousands of people, hundreds of people see it. Now we've had millions of people see it. So we crossed over the 3 million viewers mark in the last 4 months.
Oh, congratulations.
And it's unbelievable, to be frank.
Do you have any moments that you remember from doing that show where somebody arrived at a realization or a conclusion or a big surprising moment? Because it's a show that you have different C-suite leaders on talking about what they know and sharing their thoughts and these conversations that you've had outside of a studio before. Any interesting aha moments or memories from doing that show?
So I've had some incredible reflections. I've had 2 guests share very personal things that only their family knew about with me in an episode, and I didn't know it until after we recorded. And they said, you know what? I never felt like I had a place to share this, and this was an opportunity. Recently, I have a leader, and she's pretty public about it. You talked about her earlier, Rihanna Hellweller, who just took over Matry. Her and I had a great recent episode on self-leadership. And she's talked about it publicly. I've heard about it from random people in the community who attend the great events that she is a part of. Like, wow, this was really a reflective moment. And her and I are friends and colleagues and have drawn even closer to each other after that episode around self-leadership, and that we all have to take that time to reflect. I have another great episode. Joe Moats, who owns Moats Group, chairman of Moats Group, he shared about a conversation about the weight that leaders carry in their backpack. And it was one of the most visual, I still, to this day, I mean, it was probably 3 years ago. And I still use it as the analogy of leaders, and all of us, not just leaders, all humans, just stick weight in their backpack. And then one day realize how much weight they're really carrying. And sometimes we need to take pause and take the backpack off and, is this really important? Can I make an impact on this? Is this something I should be concerned about? Do I have any authority to change it? Do I need to delegate this topic, let this topic go, and get some of that weight off of our back as humans, not just leaders?
It's got to be really interesting for you hosting a podcast where you're talking to these C-suite leaders about things and not really getting the idea that personal and thoughtful stuff like that is a part of the conversation versus focusing on work and maybe having more meetings and maybe some more staff phone calls, like the more nuts and bolts quantitative work stuff versus, hey, let's talk about how this feels. And I think that's a really interesting angle.
Yeah, so that's why originally, Jack, this was called the Talent Magnet Institute podcast, real creative. We had a podcast team who was helping us with production who challenged us to think about, you're really talking about unconventional leadership topics. And then birth this brand.
And that's a way better title.
And then the audience just flew because we unleashed and we captivated an audience like, I want to hear about unconventional leadership. What is it? How do I know if I'm being an unconventional leader? We argue my dream. I have big dreams. One day, I hope unconventional leadership, intentional, specific, directive, very top of mind, omnipresent, becomes conventional. Right? I want leaders who care more deeply about the humans they have the privilege of employing than just the job they need to get done. Because once your employees know and your team knows and your colleagues and your stakeholders know that you care more about them and who they become than just the bottom line, again, that's when people show up with their whole self and bring all of their energy. So we talk a lot about unlocking human potential. Every human has unlimited potential inside of them.
Is it difficult to unlock that sometimes, though? Because so many people do sort of approach a job as, there's a fear sometimes about not wanting to be defined by your job because that's just one element of your life. You've got a family that maybe you go home to, or parents or friends or whatever, because the fear is that this job may not be in the blood the way family is, right? The idea that the rug could get pulled out from under you. There's a wall that gets put up.
Yeah, I think there's also a component of I'm not going to give all of my energy to this job because they don't respect me. They don't treat us well. They don't invest in us. They don't ask us how we're doing. How are you really doing? Which was a recent clip that came from an episode with Nancy Spivey from the Northern Kentucky Chamber, where she said, she defined unconventional leadership of the leaders in the room who said, no, how are you really doing? Right? When you do all of those things, employees show up differently. Team members show up differently. People change lives. We have the opportunity to change lives every day and unlock potential. How you lead and how you build trust and how you do those things will determine whether or not you're going to be the employer who unlocks it or not.
Yeah, and the how is just as important as anything else. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the how you get there is really important too.
Yes, and it's going to take time, right? You can't go in and say, okay, I care and want to listen and learn all of you. You got to build trust and build relationship. We know the highest performing organizations do that. I know the organizations that our family and our business has had the opportunity to serve. Those employers who care deeply about, who recognize earlier I mentioned innovation should be coming from the lowest level of your enterprise. Those where that happens are high performing organizations, right? And I've had the pleasure of working with both. Some that really struggle to unlock potential and some that, when they retire, the CEO retires, the leader retires or leaves to go pursue something else, employees are emotional because of how impactful that leader was to their career. We all know them. We've all been around those kind of leaders that we hope call upon us again, or we call and thank for the work that they've done in our lives. And that's the leaders we want to create through the work that we do with Centennial, TMI, and the Unconventional Leadership Podcast.
Yeah, see, there we go. You're so good at recapping stuff. I can tell you're a host because I was going to say, Mike Sipple is the CEO of Centennial, which is a leadership and executive placement organization. You're matchmaking leaders in this community. TMI, Talent Magnet Institute, is a way to develop leaders as they're going along. And then you got the unconventional Unconventional Leadership podcast. Mike, we just have like maybe a minute or so left. Talking about kids real quick, you talked about, the relationship with you and your dad and the professional relationship you've had. You're now also talking about your kids getting involved in stuff. Yeah. What is that like to be looking ahead to having the same relationship that you had with your dad, but passing the torch on?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's humbling. It's a humbling experience. I want, similar to my dad, it was like, hey, because I've been doing this 27 years. I spent 7 years working in the business to pursue other things. Yeah. I want my children to pursue their greatest dreams. And I think all family businesses should have that same belief, and most do, of like not only pursue your own dreams, but go and accomplish something elsewhere, right? Do something. And if that boomerang brings you back to the family enterprise, awesome. Then you'll have skills, experiences, worked for other bosses other than your mom or dad, right? So that's pretty powerful. And as an entrepreneur, my wife and I have many LLCs, and we have these two brands, these brands that we've discussed. We have a couple of others. The life of an entrepreneur is quite crazy for most of us.
That's the vibe I've got,
right?
Yeah.
And the fact I have one child who launched a startup for a cardiac heart wearable last year, very sophisticated technology product that he and his team were building. And then I have my youngest has two companies, pressure washing business and sells used golf balls. The fact that they even want to be an entrepreneur is inspiring to me because, gosh, we didn't scare them all away, And then my daughter's pursuing her things, and all of our kids are involved in athletics. And somehow I have a child who enjoys golfing in 1,000,000-degree weather, and he's pretty damn good at it. So.
It seems like you guys, listen, Mike Sipple, you seem like a pretty well-rounded guy between the business stuff, the development, the family work. It all sort of works together. That's practicing what you preach. Centennial Talent Magnet Institute. Mike Sipple, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate having you here.
Thank you so much, Jack.
We've got to take a break. We'll be back with more Working Lunch after this. Don't go anywhere.
We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick Hand with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. The Cincinnati Kings score. And look who scores, and the Reds win.
Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the off-season covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. Well, listen, congratulations. You've made it to the weekend. I know I'm glad I'm here. When it comes to movies that are coming out this weekend, we love talking about movies on the show. It's Friday, but there's really just one flick to worry about this weekend.
Tell me what you remember.
Home.
And then what?
After years of war, with me.
Let's go home.
This is a household waiting for master. I think the kid is coming back. No, he's not. My dad is coming home. I think he's asleep. Who's looking after your wife and son?
Do you see? No one could stand between my men and home.
Christopher Nolan, the most bankable director working today, releasing The Odyssey. That movie did over $17 million in Thursday previews just last night. It's looking at $100 million opening weekend. That's a conservative projection. Production of this movie, already legendary. Estimated $250 million budget that had the cast and crew on 91 days of shooting in 6 different countries. Filmed entirely in full-frame 70mm IMAX. The first commercial feature to be made exclusively with that massive piece of machinery. It can only hold about 3 minutes of film at a time. They shot over 2 million feet of film for it. It looks like in every measure, this behemoth of a movie is going to live up to the hype. It's going to make a ton of money, and expect everybody to go see it this weekend. If you're looking for something to do other than going to the movies this weekend, we do have some good news for you in Newport. The Bacon, Bourbon, and Brew Festival is going on. You can see friend of the show, Molly Wellman, right there, handling some of the food that's going to be and the drinks. She's crafted a drink menu for it. Creative chef-driven dishes featuring bacon-infused bites to bourbon-glazed specialties and beer-inspired eats. I know Rodney's a fan of beer-inspired eats. Vendors from City Barbecue, Bacon, Bourbon, Brew, Grill, Belly Up Barbecue, City Barbecue, Get Loaded. A lot of different vendors there. This is going to be at Kentucky in Newport's, right along the river there, that plaza where all the Newport events go on. That is Friday through Sunday in Newport. Free live music, family-friendly attractions, including inflatable activities for kids. And I know Cooper's excited about that. That's our show. Thanks very much to Mike Sipple of Centennial and Talent Magnet Institute for coming on. Thanks to all my guests from this past week. Thanks to you for watching and checking us out. We wouldn't have a show if you weren't watching it, sharing it, telling your friends about it, daring your friends to watch it. We're excited to be here. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back on Monday at noon. You're watching The Working Lunch. My name is Jack Crumley. Thanks very much.